how are you? I hope you're good. So just before we go into the video, I want to remind everyone that the 7 days of top 7 is actually beginning tomorrow. How crazy is that? Can we just like reflect? I feel like only last week I was filming the video for the announcement of it, and like here we are, it's tomorrow. Slap me in the FaceTime, won't you? So just to remind you in case you forgot, I have edited half of them, still to edit some of the other ones. Very excited to see your picks, and even if you're not participating, then to see you in the comments. But yeah, with that reminder out of the way, super excited. Let's go into the wrap up and TBR. So today we are here to see my wrap up for November. I felt like November was a really slow reading month for me, but looking at it, it's actually 3 books and 1 comic, which is not bad at all for me. So yeah, I think without further ado, let's go into my November wrap up. So the first book that I read was Stalking the Ripper, and I really enjoyed that cat. Hello. Sorry, I wanted to include the kitten because you haven't seen the video because I lost the footage for the cat box. So I feel like you guys been deprived of my cat. Dude, I feed you. Don't forget that. Sorry, so the first book was Stalking Jack the Ripper. I sort of already included a little review on Copile scale when I was explaining how I rate my books. I will suggest the video here if I remember. Hopefully. It was 3 stars for me. I enjoyed it. I had some problems with it. It clearly wants to go into forensic science, and she's learning about anatomy and she works with dead bodies. And she basically gets tangled in a case where Jack the Ripper, a serial killer, is on the loose, and there's a lot of drama. There was a little bit too much romance for my liking. The middle of the book, it started really strong, and then the middle of the book was just basically the romance bit, and it felt really prolonged, and then at the end it was quite strong as well, apart from one thing. This is supposed to be a girl who's really into anatomy, so she knows what does what, you know, what organs go. And one bit in the book really sort of annoyed me. I don't know, maybe I'll make a spoiler review, although I feel like I don't really have a lot to say, but I still really enjoyed it though, and I feel like, I know this is a stupid thing to say, but I do feel like my teenage self would have enjoyed it a lot. The second book that I have finished in the month of November was the one that basically took the most of November, which is understandable because Book in a Jar always does that. So, because I obviously have to record my thoughts while I read it, and it's a timely thing. And also read your comments on, you really enjoyed it. Anyway, it was 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This was the book that sat on my shelf for the longest time because I didn't really enjoy her first book, but I bought this even before I read the Shadow and Bone because it's so beautiful, and I've seen it everywhere, and people kept asking me to read it so they would know what I think about it, and so I've done it. I read it with you guys. I'm still editing the video for the Book in a Jar because I have an extraordinarily crazy amount of footage for that one, so it's probably gonna be even longer than the usual book diary, but it's coming to you hopefully on the, what was it? On the 6th of December, so that's a Wednesday. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of thoughts, and I'm gonna read your thoughts from the Goodreads group there. But to just sum it up really quickly, it's a book about a heist, and it's a book about 6 characters that are sort of outlaws or outcast people, sort of criminals, but not the worst kind, I suppose. Characters were really interesting, I have to say. I really enjoyed. The main thing that really drove me was the character interactions, so not even just characters separately, but just characters interacting with each other. In this book I thought the dialogue was executed extremely well, and I really liked the dynamic between the dialogue and the descriptions, because the dialogue didn't have a lot of those, maybe I can find one bit that I can show you, like here, just like a random page. See the dialogue, it's almost like it doesn't have a lot of those like he said, she said, you know, she said while falling asleep, or you know what I mean. And I understand those are necessary, this is a book, but for me this is brilliant. I love that because it gives you this momentum that when you hit the description part, it doesn't slow you down, if it makes sense. That being said, there were definitely bits in the book that I didn't enjoy as much. So for example, there was a lot of planning and talking about the heist, but it was not really in a manner that was like step by step, so you could actually like live the main event with them later on. And I don't really feel like all the things that we planned was really introduced well during the actual event of it, if that makes any sense. I also have to sort of mention that whilst I loved all of the representation that is in here, and I don't, because every single character was representing some type of category of people, you know, so there were darkest things apparently, there were plus size people and different sexuality, and whilst I loved that, I couldn't, and it didn't actually really intrude into the story, it didn't feel fake. I think it's because of what the community is at the moment. I couldn't stop feeling that it's only thrown in there for the publicity and marketing reasons, so that sort of annoyed me because it was like literally ticking the box because there's so many characters. And I'm not saying that that cannot happen, especially in like university settings, but this is not in a university. I'm just saying that obviously there's so many diverse people, but it just felt a little bit forced. So I felt like this was a bit longer than it could have been, and some bits were a bit like iffy. And anyway, I have a lot of thoughts and I have a long video coming your way on that one, but in the end I ran it through co-pile and it was the lower end of 4 stars because I did really enjoy it, and I will definitely read the second one, so I'm happy to say that I might be in the LitJoyCrate train after all. Hooray! On to the comic that I read. It was Locke and Key, Welcome to Lovecraft. It was the first volume in this particular series. This is written by the son of Stephen King and his name is Joe Hill. This is a very dark, sort of depressing, quite deep supernatural story. This is about a family who suffer a loss and they are forced to move to this massive manor of the relatives, and there's a lot of supernatural stuff happening there. This is just an introduction, so we're just following each member of the family from their points of view. We're seeing the tragedy from their eyes, and it's a lot of trauma in here. It's a lot of, the art style of this is really interesting because you can see a lot of these bruise type shadows in the faces, so it makes it much darker, and sometimes even the kids faces look like they're super old, look like they're much older than they're supposed to be. It's just really exaggerated and I really love it. This was sent to me by Kevin. Hi Kevin, if you're watching. And I already emailed him saying how much I actually adore this, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why. I think I was like in the perfect mood for this. I just finished 6 of Prose and it was already really late, but I wasn't feeling like sleeping, so I picked this up and I just ran through it. I enjoyed it so bloody much. I love it. And then the last book that I finished in the month of November was One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. This is the second book for the 3 Dark Crowns. I'm not sure if that's how the actual thing is called, like the series. I might do a little review from the co-pile perspective on this book because I do have some things to say and I would like to go into a little bit more detail, but to tell you, I'm not gonna tell you a lot about this because it's obviously a second book in the series. So the actual trilogy is about a world where triplets are born to every queen, and those triplets are separated depending on their power. So there's a naturalist that controls all the elements, there's a poisoner who poisons stuff, and then there's a naturalist who controls sort of nature and animals. And when they reach the age of 16, they are sort of released and they're supposed to kill each other. And only one can rule the world. I don't know what it is with this series. It's not like I don't like them, because I do. it's just that it's very much in the medium for me. It's a very nice, I want to say mediocre, but that sounds like such a harsh word. It's not mediocre, it's just not my favorite. And I think the driving thing for this one was sort of like intrigue or the ease of reading. I don't know, it might be the amount of love interest or the writing style that brings it down for me a little bit. But as I said, it is very easy to read and I did enjoy it. I did reach for it. I wanted to know more about it. At the end, I didn't have like massive problems with it, but it wasn't just, it's just always, it seems like, oh, if you could just push it a little bit, it could be just that much better. And I don't know what this is lacking. This is lacking some sort of epicness for me personally. And the end a little bit disappointed me, although there was a death, so I'm glad about that at least, because I don't like it when everyone is safe. Guys, I don't know what it is. I can't force myself to like it more, you know? You know what I mean? But it's not like I dislike it, but it's not like I live for this series. Maybe it's because I don't really care for the characters that much. I don't have a character that I'm rooting for, So maybe it's that. Now on to the smashed section of currently reading and TBR. So the first one is Vicious by Victoria Schwab. I'm on page 40, so not much into it at all. This seems to be following the main character who just escaped the prison, but we keep backing up and seeing the backstory of it, and it's about him and this person who he studied at university with, Eli, his used to be best friend, now sort of an enemy. I don't know what they did. It's gonna be something to do with the research of extraordinary people, because I think he's traveling with a girl who's undead. I'm not entirely certain, I'm not spoiling, this is on page 1, but it's just not what I was expecting in like a surprising way. It's much more like set in the modern days, so it is an urban fantasy, and yeah, I'm quite intrigued by this one. It definitely has Victoria Schwab's style in it, and what I really miss reading other books is how short her chapters are. It just flies by. Now, a book that's quite a whopper, and that's also a reason why I'm not really packing this TBR that much, and I'm not even sure if I'll have time to read this, but hopefully, finally, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is my first Brandon Sanderson's book. Very similarly, I'm like 48 pages in. I am sort of reading this with AJ, sort of because he already read it, and also because I'm a horrible buddy reader, so it's just basically very loose, chill version of it. But I'm gonna speak with him about this a lot because he's like Brandon Sanderson's encyclopedia. I feel like that guy knows everything there is to know about the author and his writing style and everything behind the novels. So it's just like a perfect guide for my beginning of the journey of this. So thanks AJ for that. But yeah, this is the very high fantasy. It's actually surprisingly easy to read so far. Even though it is a high fantasy, it's not very intimidating to start, at least this one in particular. So I'm really excited because I'm only, as I said, 48 pages in, but I really like the writing style. It's easy to read because for high fantasy that's not very common, and it's not complicated. It's not like too much, ooh, let's throw all of these terms and make all the sentences medieval, so you will struggle to read it and gonna stay on one page for 20 minutes. It's not like that. So really, all I know about this is there's some mysterious mist happening, and I'm getting the heist feeling as well, similar to Six of Crows, but very different. So we're gonna have a bunch of people with sort of magic. I think so far we have 2 sort of main characters. I am not at the point where the magic system is explained, but I know it will be, and I'm just happy to finally get to it. And I just thought that this is a very sort of wintry cover, so also because of that. The next thing is not gonna be surprising whatsoever because it's the second comic in the Locke and Key series. That one's called Head Games, and as I said, I'm really excited to see what happens next. And also Kevin said that the second one is his favorite, so color me even more excited. And the very last thing is one that I'm gonna maybe read, maybe not read. Is one of these things that as I said, similar to the first one that I already read. Very much when I need like those 10 minutes of like completely shutting down, that's when I grab this. And so that is the second one of the Harry Potter books in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secret. This is like a naked one because, I don't know, the dust jacket is somewhere there. But it's the illustrated edition. Oh, look at that. I actually opened in the illustration. Blah, blah, blah. Actually opened with the illustration there. So yeah, illustrated edition of the second one. Second Harry Potter book is not my favorite one. It's always been a little bit of a, almost like a least favorite. Although, to be fair, maybe it's the movie. I don't know, the second movie sort of annoys me. I'm not sure why. Something about it. But maybe it's because I watched it so many times that it's literally, it was painful at some point. I have that, so I'm gonna cuddle up with this during December sometimes as well. Will I finish it? Maybe not. As I said, I just like to have it there. And that is everything for my December TBR. It doesn't look like much because it's not for a fast reader, but as I keep saying and saying and saying, I am a slow one. I feel like I have to say it because there's new people joining. Welcome new people, by the way. I hope you're gonna enjoy being a part of this little family. But yeah, I'm a very slow reader, and I'm also very busy in my mind, like jumps from place to place, and that's probably a reason why I'm a slow reader as well. That is everything for today. Let me know if you read any of these books that I've mentioned, and also what was the best one that you read in November, because I love to see those. This is like cheating a little bit because I always love to see what you guys enjoyed the most in the previous month, so then I can sneakily check if I would like that and add it to my TBR. so thank you. I hope you're gonna have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow, because tomorrow is the day 1 of 7 days of top 7. So a full week of videos and a book diary on Wednesday to top it up, and knowing me, probably more. But anyway, I am so excited for it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!